Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, I saw a couple of articles and videos of Monique calling for a boycott against Netflix. And I want to take some time out now to talk about this issue. I encourage you all to read this article in the root. I will include a link in the description box so that you can read it for yourself. Also, this article includes the video of Monique calling for the boycott, so I encourage you all to check out that video. So in this video, she is basically calling for a boycott because she says that Netflix only offered her $500,000 to do a comedy special, and she compared that to how much Amy Schumer was offered and Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. Like Amy Schumer was offered 11 million and Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock were each offered 20 million. And she also talked about how Amy Schumer was able to negotiate $2 more million to her deal by putting pressure on Netflix. And she says that, she asked Netflix about her resume. She said, well, what about my resume? And her resume includes winning an Oscar and all that. So she basically said, well, what about that? And basically, they told her, well, Amy Schumer, for instance, sold out Madison Square Garden and had a big movie that summer, and that's why they offered her the big bucks. And Monique continued to ask people to stand with her and boycott Netflix. And I just want to share my thoughts about this situation real briefly. Number one, I'm not boycotting Netflix over Monique's contract deal because I don't think that this is about her race or anything like that. Because as she pointed out, Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock received even more than Amy Schumer, so it's not a racial issue. Uh, in terms of gender, now that may be a question because Amy Schumer received less than Dave Chappelle, and now Monique is receiving less than Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock. But it's really not that. That's not the case either because if you look at Monique, I mean, when was the last time she was in a hit movie? When was the last time she was on any kind of major comedy tour? She's been out of the spotlight for quite some time. And the same thing is, I mean, Dave Chappelle was out of the spotlight for a long time, but there was a lot of people calling for him to return to stand up. And he left the scene at the height of his career, whereas Monique hasn't been in anything in quite some time. And for that reason, I think that that's probably why they lowballed her um, for this comedy special. But I think that that's a function of her attorneys and her managers and agents and all that kind of stuff to put pressure on Netflix to offer her a better deal instead of trying to politicize her personal situation, trying to turn her personal situation into some political cause or some cause for social justice when it's not even nothing like that, man. It's really basic and simple from what I can tell. The fact of the matter is she hasn't been relevant for quite some time. And it may be due to the fact that she was blackballed. She talked about her being blackballed and all that kind of stuff from Hollywood. And I don't think that this helps her. I don't think this is a sound negotiating tactic. This is not the best way to negotiate a great deal. And it's going to make people less likely to work with you in Hollywood. That's just what I think. I think that she's going to marginalize herself even further than she is already by calling for this boycott. I think that there are better ways that she could have negotiated a better deal. Um, she could have used her management and her agents and all that kind of stuff. She could have presented strong arguments in favor of her getting more money besides the fact that she received an Oscar. She has to cite examples proving that her comedy show would be a hit, would be a major success. So I'm not boycotting Netflix. I'm going to continue watching Netflix. And I'm sorry to hear what's happening with her situation, but I think that the best thing for her to do is to just get out there and do more comedy routines, like to get into more films and stuff like that. Go on tour, improve herself, again, like prove to people just how relevant and how capable she is, so that then they will be forced, just by the numbers and just by the prospects of high profits, they'll be forced to give her a good deal. Or even go to other streaming services to try to set up a comedy deal, negotiate with Amazon or with Hulu or whatever for a better deal. So those are my thoughts. Tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.